So next on the list for this lift is going to be decking. So the outside legs of the lift are currently at 23.5, and that's the widest part of this under the frame or whatever. And what I want to give myself some space either side for where my bearings are going to mount and roll, because this side's going to roll on the inside of the undersurface of the platform. So we'll call that 25, which will give me 3/4 of an inch either side. So 25 wide, and the lift that I'm modeling this after has a 7-foot platform. So we're looking at that. So 7 feet by 25. And then I also want to have a 3-inch lip bent down either side. So 25 by 84 inches and a 3-inch bend. So we need a 31-inch by 84-inch piece of steel. And then I'll get the steel supplier to do 3-inch bends either side. And as for the ends, we'll just cap those off with a bit of steel that I got left kicking around. So tomorrow is the last day of the week. The steel provider is going to be open, or the steel supplier is open. So I'm at work tomorrow. I'll call them and get that ordered. And then this weekend, hopefully, we can get a platform put on this lift and actually lift up a motorcycle with it. So I'm actually thinking I'd like to get my roller points mounted first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch out a section of the top of this leg, like this. So I have like a 90-degree notch out here. I'll just use a cutting wheel and a grinder to notch that out. Then what I can do is I can get some Schedule 40 tacked into there, into that notch. And then we can get our pin bearing like this, mounted in like so. So I'm just looking at this 1 by 1 pipe with 1/8 wall. That gives me 3/4 inside, pretty much. It's a little loose. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to notch out an 1 by 1 spot, because those legs are 1 inch down in. So if I cut that flush with the cross member and 1 inch over, then I can put this in. It'll fit in there perfect with regard to fitting into how the structure of this is, or the shape of this is. That way, my bearing will be here. It'll only give me an extra like a few millimeters of height on this side. So yeah, I'm going to cut this out 1 by 1 inch by inch, and we'll go ahead, get some of this square tube cut, and that's what I'll mount my upper bearings in. So now with these notched out as they are, they look mostly even. I can get a piece of 1 inch by 1 inch across here. I'll do a bit of grinding to make sure, well, it's pretty good on this side actually. It's nice and flush over here. And on this side I think it's might be just all right as well. One thing I did notice when I put the level across the legs earlier, this side was a little low, and by little I mean like less than 1/8 of an inch. So maybe that little bit there now will have this nice and level. And it does. This is now bang on between the bubble. So just pulled this baby out of the box, got it set up. Sounds pretty mean. See the light flicker when it comes on. The only thing is, it was missing the locking nut for this, so there's going to pick up a nut stick on that. But I can use it still. It's not going to make much of a difference for me at this point in time. So now, I'm going to measure up that steel, and we'll cut a piece in this new cold cut saw and see how it works.
1
Okay, so that was real time. This saw literally treated this piece of steel like it was butter. It's crazy. There's no real sharp edge there. I'm super impressed. It's the best $300 I've spent for this and a spare blade. Great deal. Okay, let's get this tacked on and look at getting our bearings put in it. So now that's this piece in place. So what I can do now is we'll cut some of our 3/4 bar stock and we'll get it set up. That is hot. We'll get it set up in here with some bearings on it, and then we can lay the platform back on and just take a look and see how things perform. So this is the first time I've had the lift completely as low as it will go. The bag is completely deflated. My hose is pretty kinked in there right now, but that will survive. I'm going to have a 90-degree angle put in there. I'd say once this platform is on, I'll go ahead and pick that up. But the height of the platform fully down is only 7 inches. So I'm actually an inch under the one that we were modeling off of right there. That one is at 8 inches on the ground. So I get an extra inch to work with when putting bikes up on this, which is decent. So now I'm going to have a look and see where the bearings are. I'll mark the outside where that is. Plus, you know, I'll put on an inch or so later. Then I'm going to inflate it back up. And we're going to see exactly where the bearing is then over here. So now when we look at this, we're at a full 40 inches of height on this side of the platform. And that gives us the same height as the one we're modeling after. So I'm pretty impressed with that. It worked out all right. So now that this is all the way up, I can take a peek up and under again, see that our bearing is about here, add a few extra inches, come over to here. So there. Roughly from there to there. Same thing with this piece here. And this side from there to there. Tack that in place in a couple spots. And we'll go ahead and see what it's like then on top of the bearings. Now we can take a look and see what the situation is. So here you can see, if I leave that post just a little proud, we'll have about a 16th clearance or so on this inside here. And then the bearing will be able to move around a bit this much, which is fine. It's a bit of an eighth either way. And the same thing on this side. So you got a post sticking it just a little bit. A bit of clearance there. I could probably bring that post out a tiny bit more. Use my magnet. And then yeah, so our bearing will have enough room to be able to move back and forth a tiny bit as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill a couple holes. Probably 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I'll do 4 per side. Plug weld those studs in place. Then we can slide the top back over the bearings so it's riding on the new plate we put in. And we'll go ahead and get the other side done for height. So let's get working. So just giving some thought to how I want to attach the legs on this side of the lift to the underside of this platform. That's going to be a fixed attachment point that is able to pivot about some attaching items. So it's going to be a bolt essentially. So what I want to do is I'm going to build up a frame on the underside of this deck, which is going to surround roughly around where the legs are. And we'll have holes drilled so that bolts can go through that frame piece and through the top of the legs. That'll give us a point to bolt this platform of the deck onto the top of the legs over here, and then we can test this out. So these are square within the deck, 8 inches between these two. So now what I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of 1 by 1 at 8 inches. We'll get them laid in place, then we'll look at cutting some plate. So here's how it's going to go down. I'm going to have this piece of 3/16 inch plate fixed here. I'm going to get these welds in here ground down so I can get that in flush. We're also going to round the head of this because it's going to need to be able to be round so it can move on the underside of the deck. With that in place, we'll then have a situation like this where this frame will be in place somewhere, like so. And then we'll have the other pieces of steel, like, see see if I can keep this up. This one will be in here. Another one on the other side of that plate, and we'll bolt directly through these pieces of 1 by 1 into the plate, and this will be fixed to the bottom of the deck. That should take care of it. So let's clamp these up, get the heads cut and rounded, get these ground, get them tacked into place, and see if we can fit things up. So now I drilled these holes out to cut through a couple steps, so up to 1/2 inch. So if the 12mm bolt goes through, there's just a little bit of play. So that's good for me. So now the next thing I'm going to do is get these plates tacked in place. And then we're going to look at fitting up that under deck frame so that we can put the other cross members in, drill some holes, get that mounted, see if we're going to have any interference, and then finally get it up, tacked under the deck, and test everything out. Now the inside distance between these two pieces of plate is 19 1/8, pretty much exactly. So now I can take the frame, we'll get 19 1/8 to the inside, and then we'll add the 3/16 for each other side, probably plus a 16th for a little bit of clearance. We should be able to tack those pieces into the frame and check everything out. So one thing I just noticed is the M12 bolts that I picked up are not long enough to go all the way through and then be bolted. But what I can do is I can bore out one of these holes, because these heads fit nicely inside here. So I can slip them in. I won't even have to put a wrench on them when they're inside. So I should be able to then tighten them up. And these don't have to be pin tight anyways, they're just there as pins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ream out one side of these with a stepper bit, so I can drop these down through once I drill them out to 1/2 inch of the bolt goes through. One quick adjustment I need to make right here. So I just got a bolt put through these two pieces of what is going to be the frame, and once they're cleaned up they'll all fit in nice and flush and neat and stuff. But when this is going to be up to height, I'm getting interference right here on this top corner of this leg. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in with the cutting wheel and buzz off about 1/2 inch of that and cut it off right into the plate. That way it won't interfere. So I'm going to do it on this side and that side, and we're going to go ahead and get stuff fitted up. So now that I've enlarged one of the holes on one side, the bolt goes in and it doesn't turn within. You get a situation where we can get these bolted through and get our nylock nut on there, no problem. And you can see I also cleared that piece off there. So now we've got a situation where we'll clear that piece of the leg when the lift is level. So now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and I'm going to get some tacks on that frame and get this thing fit up. So here's a quick look at the situation now. This is the frame that's going to go up under the deck. These outside pieces come off so that the head of these bolts can go in through the bigger hole that's here. One final thing I'm noticing is that when the lift is going to be down, these nubs are just a bit proud. So I'm going to go ahead and clip them off with the grinder, round it over, and then I'm going to finalize a few of the welds on these important pieces, knock the other pieces out. Then I should be ready to put it on the bottom of the platform and get this thing lifting stuff. So that puts us at the point where I'm ready to flip this over, get some bolts through the frame part and in through the leg here, and then we can test it out, see how everything's going. Let's give it a shot. So there we have it. That's the top of the platform attached. And things seem like it worked out pretty decent. So, time for a quick ride, and I'm going to give this up for the night. I think it's only fair that the first thing I lift with this, now that I've got it together, is my pride and joy. So, off we go. There you have it. This thing's about 170 pounds, so it's not overly heavy. I mean, a full-size motorcycle, I'm going to have to watch it when I'm putting those up. I don't run into the garage door hangers. Either way, I have to say, pumped. Down to go. So that's going to be it for this video. And thank you all for coming along for the journey with me. Last things we're going to do with this now, there'll be one more video. And I'll probably get a lot of it done tomorrow actually. Finishing touches. So, cutting off the excess length on a couple of little pieces of bearing stuff that are still kicking around. Finalizing the welds, because most of this is just tacked up with hefty tacks kind of thing. So yeah, once again, this is working out fantastic. I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride, and I'll see you on the next one.